Hello team players! So, in today's video, I'm going to start my series covering how to play Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And I'm going to start by teaching you how to use teamwork effectively in combat. Let's dive in. So first up, all teamwork needs to start with one thing, a good foundation. After all, without a good foundation, teamwork likes to fall apart pretty easily. You would achieve this by using Session 0. The goal of any Session 0 should be to work together to come up with a good team strategy. There are a multitude of different ones, but I'll go into an example of one later in this video. But Session 0 should not just be a bunch of people building characters on their own, which you guys can correct me if I'm wrong here, but in my experience, that's what Session 0 ends up being most of the time. In Session 0, you should be talking about more things like, how can we help each other in certain situations? What's our plan for when things don't go well? What feats and abilities are we taking to make sure we can work together effectively? That sort of thing. The bottom line is you need to think about how your choices during character creation are going to affect the rest of the party. And not just that. You also need to think about how your choices during actual combats affect other party members. Because a teamwork foundation doesn't do any good if nobody follows through on the plan. For example, not only do you need to take advantage of what other people are trying to do, you also need to at least attempt to help them as well. A perfect example of this is the off-guard condition. There are plenty of abilities out there that only make the target off guard against you. And while there are ways to make that useful to the team, it is much easier just to make the target off guard against everyone rather than just you. You want to do things like grappling and tripping to make the opponent off guard against everyone, not just you. Basically, the way I see it, anything you want to do can be used for teamwork if you think about it hard enough. Example, you being tough can be used for teamwork. In my experience, most people that have IAC do it because they want to feel tough, which is totally fine. However, you can relive that fantasy and also protect your allies. You should think like, I'm tough, I can take hits, so I should be protecting my allies, especially the ranged one. Instead of the line of thinking that I've seen over and over and over again. Oh, I have such high AC that I can't get hit. I don't care about my other party members. I'm just glad I can't get hit. I'm not saying that all characters that play tanks think like that, but I've seen it far too often. In the about 10 years I've played tabletop role-playing games. And I should know, I used to think the exact same way. Now let's talk about a very simple example of teamwork. Let's go with your standard party. Wizard, cleric, fighter, rogue. So, for this team, the wizard is probably going to be our recall knowledge person and our hit weaknesses person. Which means it's his job to suss out what the enemy's weaknesses are by using recall knowledge. I'll use an ogre as an example. I'm pretty sure most people watching this video know that ogres are big, lumbering brutes that are also really dumb. So our wizard friend can probably figure out that ogres are dumb and they're also pretty lumbering, which means they have low dexterity. They might find out both of these and they might find out one of these. Either way works if they're successful. That leaves 2 actions left for the wizard. That means they can spend the rest of their turn casting a spell to hit that weakness. In the case of the ogre, that's probably either something like a fear spell, or maybe even a fireball if they're high enough level. Depending, of course, on the situation and what they find out from their recall knowledge. But more importantly, what this also does is let the rest of the party know what this ogre's weaknesses are. So if the wizard finds out that ogre lumbering and not very good with dexterity-based stuff, the fighter probably wants to trip it. And tripping the ogre does 2 things. First, It opens the ogre up to an attack of opportunity the moment it tries to get back up from the fighter, but it also means the ogre is off guard, which means rogue take advantage. And if we're talking about a high charisma rogue, then that rogue may be able to intimidate the ogre, thus opening them up even more for attacks. But where does the cleric fit in all this? Well, first, the cleric can heal when necessary, but the cleric can also buff themselves and their allies, making it even easier to hit this ogre. But ogres can also hit really hard, which is where someone like the fighter, in this example, or a champion can help. The more time this ogre spends attacking the guy with high AC or high hit points, the better, as that allows the other characters in the party, especially the ranged ones, to do what they want. To help the team, of course. And another way that tripping helps the team is that it removes an action from the ogre. Now the ogre only has 2 actions to attack the fighter, or try to move around him. Every on-level monster in Pathfinder 2e is designed to be taken on by 2 characters. And that's one of the main reasons why teamwork is so important in this system. But these are just some of the ways you could use teamwork for a better Pathfinder 2e combat experience. There are way too many for me to go over in one video. For those of you that are new to this system, don't worry. I'm going to go into more detail in each of these things I talked about in this video in other videos. But if you guys enjoyed this video, leave a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pathfinder 2e content. You can also check out the links in the description below for my Patreon, as well as my Discord and my social media. If you have no idea what tabletop role-playing games are, or why people like me even play them, you can check out this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and remember, teamwork is vital. It helps us solve problems.